Hi, my name is Andy Smith-Gulley, and I'm a rural family nurse practitioner student at Eastern Kentucky University, and I'm presenting on current issues with prescriptive authority of advanced practice registered nurses for my class in NSC 840 Advanced Nursing Practice Issues. A major issue that faces the future of advanced practice registered nurses is the variation of prescriptive authority over various nursing jurisdictions. Each nursing jurisdiction has their own set of regulations laid out in the Nurse Practice Act. Research discusses the proposed update to the consensus model for APRN regulation, in which all jurisdictions can adopt to make a more universal practice for APRNs. Concerns that are discussed by opponents of prescriptive expansion of APRNs include increased scheduled medication dispense and subsequent addiction, decreasing patient outcomes, and decreased public safety. All these concerns were discussed in some of the research and literature reviews, and no evidence backed these claims. The 2020 COVID-19 pandemic was quite the tragedy for the healthcare system and the world, but it provided evidence and advancement in the value of opening practice and prescriptive authority for APRNs. This paper will explore the benefits, challenges, ethical considerations, and effects on the healthcare population as related to the issue of prescriptive authority for the APRN. There is a wide variation in nursing jurisdiction related to prescriptive authority. Variations include full practice authority, delegated authority, collaborative practice agreement, and transition to practice. Full prescriptive authority is the goal for all jurisdictions in which APRN is deemed fully competent to practice based on their advanced educational background. Limitations of prescriptive authority creates barriers for APRN's ability to deliver effective healthcare to the public, especially in rural and underserved urban areas. APRNs have the ability to fill healthcare shortage gaps, especially in areas where it is not economical for physicians to practice. Oppositions to the prescriptive authority generally cite APRNs as part of a physician-led team and lack the education and preparedness to independently prescribe. Ethical concerns. With the recent 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, the public became enlightened to the need for expansion of prescriptive and practice authority for APRNs. Boards of nursing and APRN advocacy agencies should utilize the evidence from practice expansion during the pandemic to advocate for universal expansion of APRN practice. The question arises from the pandemic, is it ethical to continue to limit prescriptive authority and practice authority of the APRN? Evidence has shown the positive outcomes associated with fully autonomous APRN workforce. At this point, it would be unethical to not expand the practice of APRNs universally across all nursing jurisdictions. Effects of the various populations. The final question, how is prescriptive authority relevant to rural and urban populations? Research discusses that many urban and rural populations are underserved related to healthcare needs, specifically opioid use disorder. Some research also makes the point that many of these areas cannot economically support a physician in practice and therefore lack a healthcare provider in general. APRNs have shown to assist with eliminating the burden of healthcare droughts, but prescriptive authority can affect the range of interventions an APRN can provide. Some research discusses the importance of expansion, and universal prescriptive authority for APRNs have the potential to provide much needed healthcare services to both rural and underserved populations. So what is the suggested plan for this? Universal education standards, universal prescriptive authority, and centralized licensing through the Board of Nursing. The consensus model for APRN regulation has the potential to create a universal standard for APRN regulation and eliminate a great majority of the challenges behind prescriptive authority. The consensus model for APRN aims to lay the framework for universal full practice authority for APRNs. The model is meant to be used by boards of nursing and adopted into the Nurse Practice Act, giving full practice and prescriptive authority to APRNs in order to fill much needed healthcare discrepancies. Without firm definitions and public awareness, regulating authorities have difficulty opening practice and prescriptive authority for APRNs. Many jurisdictions have adopted the accepted titles for all APRN practice areas, which creates a first step in uniformity and universal regulation. Another means to eliminate barriers and challenges to prescriptive authority for APRNs is that boards of nursing in each jurisdiction should be the sole authority. Some jurisdictions within the U.S. still have oversight of APRNs by other authorities, including boards of medicine, separate advanced practice boards, or other regulatory boards, which create barriers to the APRN practice. With boards of nursing being the sole authority, standards for scope of practice and education can be set, forming another step to uniformity of APRNs. Ultimately, clear definition, scope of practice and education of the nurse practitioner universally across all U.S. nursing jurisdictions is required for barriers to prescriptive authority to be eliminated. So the two questions that I would like to ask that I feel like are relevant for the prescriptive authority is, how is prescriptive authority relevant to rural and urban populations? And is it ethical to continue to limit prescriptive and practice authority of the APRN? In conclusion, expanding or limiting prescriptive authority of APRNs in the U.S. is a major issue regarding the practice and delivery of healthcare. The 2020 COVID-19 pandemic shined light on the potentials for safe and effective delivery of pharmacological interventions by APRNs across the country, when many states, through emergency orders, eliminated APRN practice barriers. The pandemic also enlightened the public to ethical dilemma associated with limiting the practicing potential of APRNs across the country. The consensus model for APRN regulation aims to provide the framework for the universal education, credentialing, and practice authority for APRNs across the country. Creating a universal framework associated with APRNs increases public awareness and confidence in the potential healthcare delivery of APRNs. Decreasing the barriers of APRN prescriptive authority has shown to enhance the healthcare delivery system across the U.S., especially in rural and underserved urban areas. Here you'll find my references for this presentation. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation in regards to prescriptive authority for advanced nurse practitioners.